The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Are they okay over there?
They're a little wacky.
I won't call them wacko, Mr. Speaker. That's unparliamentary. But I just have a very simple question. And this is for the finance minister if she's not still in hiding. Very simple question. She said she doesn't want welders to have to pay more. Will she put an amendment in her tax bill saying that not one single welder will face a tax increase?
Oh, hi. Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to answer some questions or doubts about the equation rate increase in the Canadian capital gains, brought by the Real Citizen YouTube channel, based on facts and in law. So, without further ado, buckle up.
Listen up, everyone. I'm going to talk right to the camera. Listen up. If you have an RRSP account, meaning you work and you pay towards retirement savings, which a lot of people do, middle class people do, even lower class, upper class. I hate dividing classes, but economically, if that is you, this will affect you at some point. Maybe not right now, but it will at some point. Just so you know.
When they go to withdraw, you're saying?
Exactly. We all have some point have to pay capital gains. It's investment, any type of investment, home investment, stock investment, retirement investment. You get handed down cottages or you inherit a home, or let's say your parents pass away and they leave you something that you have to sell in order to liquidate.
Yes.
You're going to have to pay capital gains tax on that. And you may just be down the road, middle person, average person like us in terms of what we make and what we do.
And even in the case of inheritance, I found this out, is that if I inherited you, if I gave you a cabin or something, you don't have to pay the taxes when you sell it. You pay the taxes when you acquire it. That's crazy. Meaning, if I gave you a property that you couldn't actually afford, which is why you don't have it, because you didn't buy it, you couldn't afford it, typically, you now have to pay the gains on it. You can't afford it. So you probably just have to sell it anyway, just to pay the taxes to pull it off. That's another whole thing that's just crazy to me, but it's dangerous.
I just can't stand the misleading in this.
Yeah, I know, for sure. You're right.
It's just, there's so much misleading, and please don't take these videos at face value. That's why we're trying to get guys on who know what they're talking about, because these are not just these simple issues. They are deep and they are complex to understand, but it does affect Canadians. And if it doesn't affect, if you have like zero investment, nothing like that at all, how this will affect you is in a trickle-down way. Maybe your kids, maybe yourself, in terms of job creation, job opportunity. For sure, in the price of groceries and homes and all this stuff, it all is connected, how economics works in our country. Let's keep playing.
He nailed it. At the end, everything is connected somehow. Let's see if these guys are actually misleading us or they are telling us the truth. The statement were about the following. 1. Does the increasing the capital gains affect our retirement saving plans? 2. Does it affect home investments? 3. Does it affect stock investments? And 4. Does it affect inherent investments? Okay, so question number 1. Does the increase in the capital gains affect our retirement saving plans? In Canada, we have access to a couple of options to plan our retirement, and the most significant one is our RSP. The retirement saving plan, the way it works is as follows. We literally just open an special account with that specific name in a bank that allows us to have one. The money deposited in that account is tax-free until we withdraw the money at the age of retirement, which is currently 65. We can withdraw some money before without paying taxes under some special circumstances. As always, there is exemptions. The money that we deposit into the account is called contributions. We can use those contributions as deductions in our income annual tax return to pay less taxes. There is a limit deposit cap per year, and it's important to mention that we need to purchase some financial instruments such as stocks, bonds, and funds in order to reinvest the interest and dividends gained to take advantage of the compound interest effect. You might be wondering, so am I going to pay more taxes or not? Good question. The answer is no. We need to remember that the Canadian Income Tax Act divides 5 types of income that we can obtain as individuals. Retirement saving plans are included as other income in a special category when we file our income tax return. This means that they are not taxed as capital gains. Therefore, we can conclude that this lesson is leading a statement from this dude. Just in case you're curious about our future, we can see here in the governance webpage that we might receive a lot of stuff that we need to include in our tax return. We can find the RRSP in line 12900. Just remember, not because we put them in our annual tax return means that we have to take taxes for. Some of them we just have to reinform the CRA about them. I know. It sounds redundant, but it is how it was. And if you want to know the way we take taxes on the previous, this is how. It could have been deducted straight from our payment, or it could be in the form of overpayment when we exceeded our yearly threshold. The government as well give us some ideas on how to reduce our taxes, like splitting our income with our spouse or using our provincial tax grades. And everything depends if we are inside Canada or outside Canada. But that's another topic. Moving forward to the second question, home investments. Honestly, if you want to be like these guys, you see the straight literal meaning of their words.
But that investment banker who's making $800,000 a year probably is.
Any comments so far?
Well, first of all, investment bankers are no longer making $100,000 a year.
Home investment does not exist. So, problem solved? Let's move forward. Just kidding. I believe that a guy rely on the possible surplus obtained if it purchases a property and do not use it as an annual home. In this case, we have 2 ways to earn income. By the rent that our tenants would pay at the increase of value of the property, which is the capital gains. Of course, this is not the case on the majority of Canadians. The reality is that the majority of us who will not be able to buy a house with the current market prices and the mortgage bank requirements. These guys are pretending to be average persons with average income, but they are not. Just listen to what he said before.
Look, my wife and I feel like we just squeaked in. Maybe we both did in terms of when we purchased our house. We purchased our second home in 2019, and it was a walk-up bungalow. I think we paid $560,000 at the time. I think right now the city valuation is just shy of $1 million for that spot.
This guy already bought one house and now he's paying his second one. In my case, I'm really struggling to afford a decent place to be. Currently, I'm living in a shitty house with more than 5 roommates in order to keep the rent under $1,000 a month. So, I can have some disposable income to invest, save, or travel. I do not qualify for a good mortgage because either without payment is minimum of $50,000, which I don't have, or the interest rate is insanely high. And I can assure you that there are more Canadians, even in a worse situation than mine. But hey, you might be thinking, I honestly don't care any less for your situation, and I'm gonna be affected with this increase in the rate if I sell my home? I hear you, and the answer is no. There is an exemption regarding paying 0 taxes when you sell our principal residence. A property is considered to be our principal residence if we can prove that we live in there for more than 6 months in a year. Of course, if we have 234 properties and we sell one, the capital tax gain increase will affect us. Next point, stock investments. The straight answer is no. They will have suffered the consequences of the increase, and let me tell you why. The one of this kind of investment is phrased is for those EGB girls that have investments portfolios in different financial institutions or brokers with millions of dollars. I don't have those millions. I have not even maxed out in my tax-free accounts. And even when I do that, the capital gains will not be about $250,000 in 1 year to be worried about. Let me give you an example. Imagine that we have enough money to contribute and max out some of our available accounts in Canada. So we contribute the maximum for our RSP, which is 31,560 plus the maximum for our TFSA account, which is 7,000, plus the maximum that we're allowed to do in case we want to invest in our first home saving account, which is 8,000, plus 3,440 just to make it a round dollar RESP account, which is an account that is tax-free for going to college. Then we invest our money in crypto, and we double the investment. It means that we make 50,000. We are not even close to half the threshold to pay more taxes. Even that, the contributions that we made would be deducted from our taxes. In case we haven't been mentioned this, it just would affect us if we would have had $3 million invested in some financial instrument, and the return would be 10% in a year, which that kind of return doesn't exist in the market. If it does, it's a scam. And finally, the last but not least, inheritance tax. We don't have inheritance tax in Canada. We don't have to worry about that increase. But wait, it starts to interpret what he tried to say. I believe he tried to make some reference to the concept called attribution. This topic is a little bit complex and is found in the Income Tax Act subsection 73. Allow me to give you some historic context. Back in the day, there was no subsection 73. Residents, according to the Tax Act in Canada, with the liability to pay taxes. As always, we're trying to be the matrix and not pay taxes for certain transactions. So as usual, they hire experts in taxes, educated people in the subject matter to create sophisticated tax strategies. Usually, the rich are the ones who does that. The experts found a loophole in the Tax Act where they could transfer their profitable properties to their families while they are still alive to make the impression they do not own anything. So the government cannot tax them. Of course, the CRA was not happy with this and took a bunch of cases to the courts, and some of them even landed all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada, until the Parliament decided to amend or fix the Income Tax Act, and they created subsection 73 in order to prevent the taxpayer from shifting income to a lower income earner, but transferring the assets, and this is what we could assume is our current inheritance tax, but it's not. So now, allow me to try to explain the way it works. As always, it depends of our unique circumstances. Let's imagine that you want to transfer some of your properties to one of your family members because you're rich and possess like 74,000 properties around Vancouver, and you believe that you can avoid being taxed while you're still alive. You decide to transfer one of your condos that you rent to a family in downtown to your corner. Let me tell you, are you gonna pay taxes? Yes or yes. Then now you're corner because of the attribution. They are attributing the income on their capital taxes to you. It doesn't matter if you transfer them, but you have two options: to automatically roll over, which means that you will not pay capital tax gains until your spouse decides to sell out the condo or elect out subsection 73, which means that you will pay capital tax gains the moment you officially transfer the condo to the spouse, and your spouse pay for the transaction. In the previous case, the increase in capital gains may affect you if the transfer amount was above 250,000 because you'd have more than 74,000 properties. Do you remember? And just for the money, but exceeding those 250,000 K. But if that was your principal residence, you would pay nothing, zero, nada, due to the principal residence. But what if you die and you leave the property to your children? No problem, I got you covered. The answer is the same. In this case, attribution does not apply for the capital gains, which means that you cannot pay taxes because you are dead. And therefore, your doublers will have to pay the tax. But if it was your principal residence, rest assured that they will not pay any taxes. However, what about you other 73,909 properties? They will suffer the increase in the capital gains if the transfer was for more than 250,000, and just for the amount exceeding 250,000.
Mr. Speaker, generational fairness fairness is key to Canadians, Mr. Speaker, and that's why in the last budget we presented measures, Mr. Speaker, measures to build this country, measures to help Canadians, Mr. Speakers. And you know what? Our capital gains change will help Canadians. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, can you believe they voted against tax fairness, Mr. Speaker? Against tax fairness, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we will fight for Canadians and we will fight for the middle class.
So, they will fight for the middle class. The real one, or the guys who pretend to be the average? Thank you so much for staying at the end of the video. Let me know what you think about all this shit show. I hope that I answered some of your possible questions regarding because in taxes. I will make a part 2 from this podcast because I believe that the video is too long already. If you just have any more questions, leave them in the comments and I will include them in the part 2. See you next time. Bye.